Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes Podcast, where I interview incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 12 to 19, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So, yep, I'm in the thick of it, and I am working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are as they show up for their families. You and I have the greatest opportunity to impact our world through the way we embrace our fatherhood role. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure of Fatherhood, helping men discover their powerful fatherhood role and build their fatherhood skills. The role of the father is to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my new friend, Kyle Rodgers. He is a leader with the Alpha Wave Project, serving veterans. He's a veteran himself. He is a husband, a father, and a man in tune with life and helping other men find peace and wholeness. Enjoy meeting my friend, Kyle. All right, my friend, Kyle, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. How you feeling today?
Good, man. Feeling great. Good to meet you, Ned.
Dude, you as well. You know, my brother Paul has been one of the biggest cheerleaders for me with my Fatherhood podcast over the last 5 years. And he's always just talking so highly and repping what I'm doing and stuff. And, you know, on occasion, he'll say, dude, I met an incredible dad. You got to talk to him. And you are one of those people. So why do you think you came top of mind for Paul to go, Kyle's a rad dad?
Yeah, I mean, well, first, Paul is, I can't start without shouting out Paul. He's just such an incredible guy. Super powerful story. And I'm super grateful for just having met him in the last 6 months or so. And just seeing where he's at and the energy that he brings it's awesome for me. Why he thinks I'm a good dad. So Paul came out for an event that we had in January, and the day after we grabbed lunch and I brought my daughter. She may have been on a couple of our Zoom meetings that we had leading up to it. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just give off, I love being a father. I think it's there's I always growing up, try to reach these benchmarks, I grew up wrestling, I always wanted to do X, Y, and Z, doing that. And then I wanted to join the military, right? I wanted to be a part of this unit and do these types of things. And all of that stuff just seems so mundane. It's just so inconsequential after having a child. And it's
pretty big game changer. Yeah.
The biggest game changer.
If you own it. Yeah. And I mean, a statement you made even right there is you went to have lunch with Paul and you brought your daughter with you, and I don't know all the back circumstances, but right out the gate there, I think a lot of times us dads would show up to a meeting like that without a kid. And even dude, I had an important meeting 2 years ago, and I'm just thinking about it because I showed up with my 14-year-old daughter at the time, and they weren't expecting it. It was 2 businessmen who were early 60s. And I was like, yeah, this is my daughter, Presley. She's homeschooled, so I want her to sit in on this. And then what was cool is at the end of this, after the initial, they've never had a 14-year-old daughter sit in a meeting. After it, at the end, I was like, hey, what would you guys share some wisdom with my daughter? And it was gold, dude. They both shared 5-minute stories, which was pure gold and probably cool for them. So I think I didn't do that, I don't think, much when my kids were little. So cool that you're already kind of implementing I do things with my family.
Yeah. I mean, I want them to, I have 2 daughters. So one of them's 5 and then one of them is creeping up on 2 months old. So yeah, girl dad, love it. Best thing ever. But I want them to know me throughout their entire life. I want them to see me, see the people that I hang around with, see the things that we talk about. I don't want there to be a big separation, because I mean, it could be I don't know, I think growing up, maybe it's a generation thing. You have different relationships with your parents, especially fathers and sons. But being able to kind of just open myself up to my daughters is something I think super special, and I prioritize it.
Yeah, dude, that's killer. All right, couple shotgun questions for you. How old do you find yourself today?
37.
37. You feel 37. You like being 37. Confident in 37.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what 37 is supposed to feel like. I feel great. My wife will roll her eyes, but I always tell her that I feel like I'm in my prime. But I mean, physically, I feel young. I feel experience-wise in life, I feel very happy with kind of the journey that I've been on. But certainly don't feel old by any measure, right?
Do you feel like you've arrived at manhood?
I think so. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Is there a moment that you felt that happened?
Yeah, I think it happened early in my 30s. So
what was the significant moment of that? Because by that point, I mean, just based on your bio, you'd been in the military for some years already, right? So you had done and seen a lot, lived life. What was significant for you feeling like, okay, I went from boyhood to manhood?
A lot of it was getting more confidence in just who I was as a person. I think one of the reasons why I joined the military was I really wanted a mentor, like a role model, like be around role models,
Yeah.
And thankfully I found that. But I think early 30s is really kind of where I understood who I am as a person, and then I really started appreciating what I value in life. I didn't value things as much, or accomplishments and achievements, and things weren't tied to professional growth nearly as much. I just was became more grateful, appreciated the things that are that I find truly important, which are really come down to your health and your relationships with the people that are in your life. And that for me was a aha moment, right? It's oh my God, the things that really are important, that when I'm 100 years old on my deathbed and I'm going to care about, they were right in front of me the whole time. It's just actually seeing the forest through the trees, right?
Was there anything that happened in your life that alluded to that mental shift for you?
I think a lot of it was tied to when my wife and I started talking seriously about having children, because it's not about you at that point. But it's you and your spouse. You're kind of you're both adults. You're doing your own thing, right? You're kind of just you're co-pilots on the journey. But then when you start thinking about bringing a child into it, you start thinking about who am I going to be to this person? They're going to see me right when they're born, and they're going to know who I am. And it's how are they going to talk about me when I'm long gone? And it's less about legacy. It's I think it's more of just it forced me to be more self-reflective on am I the person that I want to be as when somebody else talks about me after I'm gone?
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to pause, and dads, I want you to maybe write this question down and think about it in the context of Kyle's presentation of the question. He said, who am I to this person? So you're talking about, okay, you're bringing a human being to this earth. And so you said, who am I to this person? And even when you talked about the legacy thing, it wasn't coming from I want to overhear people saying good things about me because I need to stroke my own ego. Clearly wasn't from that position. It was, you realize that you serve a significant role in this human being's life. And I think a lot of times, even today, me, Ned, at 41 years old, I'm I'm the center of the universe, and how is everybody playing a role in my life? Right. So I'm wrestle with that versus who am I in my son's world, in my daughter's world, in my wife's world, in other people that God has put in my path to do life with. So I think it's really important to ask that question as men. Who am I to this person? Who am I? When they think of me, when they see me, how are they experiencing me as a human being? Right. And I think that's one of my favorite questions from, men's groups I've been of, is how am I being experienced? So before I go to my next question, any thoughts in my reflection of what you said?
No, I think it's spot on. And as you were kind of describing it and kind of indexing on it, it made me think of a quote that I heard. I think it was back when I was in special operations, when you'd have a lot of these meetings. You train for executive communication, right? And it's not a lot of it is you have a short window of time with the decision maker. How do you convince them to buy off on X, Y, and Z mission? And a lot of it is a quote that stuck out with me. It's it's not what you say, it's how they feel when you say it. And I feel that's a similar thing to what I said, is who I am, who am I to this person? It's not what you physically accomplish throughout this world. It's what was the reflection that you, what was the impact that you left on this individual?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good, because we can get caught up in kind of the ego side of, well, this is what I said, and not caring as much as how somebody takes it. But we do have a lot of responsibility there. Kyle, how many years you've been married?
13 years.
13 years. Nice. Okay. So you guys did life a little bit, and then now you have a 5-year-old and a 2-month-old. And then is there plans maybe more down the road? I mean, you're still kind of in the thick of it at the moment, but where are you at with that?
No, I think we're very grateful with 2. I think we'll probably stop there.
Lock it up.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the easiest for us for my wife to get pregnant. I mean, we did IVF for a couple of rounds, and so it's funny, right? It's like you start the process, you're like, all right, I guess we're gonna have a baby now, and then like God has other plans for you. And like thankfully we had the means, we were in the situation to kind of go the route that we did. But every step of the way it's just been like such a blessing, right? It's like finding out my wife was pregnant with my first daughter. Like it's like, oh my God, like this is incredible. Then you like really like appreciate like every step of the way. And then same thing with the second one as well. So yeah, we're very happy with two girls. So we'll hang it up at that point, unless like something comes out of the blue, but not in the plans for right now.
Yeah. Cool, man. And then where do you guys do life? Where is it that you guys live? What kind of neighborhood? And are you planted? Is it home?
Yeah, we live in Monmouth County, New Jersey. So if you look at the state and you take the shore all the way up to the northernmost corner, it's like that little crux right there. Neither of us are from the state. We're both from Connecticut. We met in high school actually. So
okay.
Yeah, big Greek. Her family is a big Greek family, so they owned a diner, and I was a waiter in high school.
There you go.
She was a host, so got lucky.
There you go.
Shooters got to shoot. So yeah, no intentions of moving. We found this place shortly after I got out of the military. Great community, neighborhood. Like we could see New York City, but we have nothing to do with it. It's just like across the water, close to the beach. Yeah, we were perfectly content.
Cool, man. Love it. And then what is it that you do for a living to provide value out in the world and feed the family?
Yeah. So for work, I work for a defense tech company. So we build autonomous vehicles to support specific use cases inside of the military. A lot of the lessons that we learned over the last 20 years, and a lot of like the way that we 20 years, meaning like the global war on terror, a lot of the things that we did were very human centric, and they probably shouldn't have been, right? Like route clearance for IEDs and like doing just random resupply runs to bring food and water. So what our company focuses on is like, how can we take humans, not necessarily out of the equation, but out of the vehicle to where like they could be exposed to danger.
Awesome. So you enjoy it and gives you freedom to be with the family.
Yeah, it's been awesome, especially transitioning from the military, like doing this pretty early on. After that transition, being able to contribute back to the mission that I had given 12 years of my life to has been powerful for me.
Yeah. Love it, dude. Super cool. In your opinion, what is the role of the father?
That's a great question. And it could go a bunch of different ways. So I'll probably rattle off a few thoughts that I have. But like first and foremost, it's like you have to be an example for the kids that you're raising. Like you are the standard bearer, right, for the values that your family holds. So you and your wife, it's not a singular job, right? So like as parents, you identify, like you figure out like what do we find important, what values do we find important, and then like you ruthlessly enforce those. And then like I think that.
So let's stay on that for a second before we go to the next thing. So you said a couple of things that really stand out to me. You ruthlessly not enforce them, but live them out. And then you said you're the standard bearer of the family's core values. In the form you filled out with the fatherhood questions, you said the embodiment of the family's core values, which I just like outlined and bolded and was like, yes, you're the embodiment of it. So thought for you, question is, how much of the family's core values are, it's like me and my wife had some similar values, so we got married and started doing life, and it's like unspoken core values. And then to what extent, and now that your kids are like, like maybe the next stage, what are your thoughts on communicating those values, and maybe give us what a couple of those values are?
Yeah, for sure. We both didn't go into the marriage with like, I would say like the same values that we were raised on. Like my wife has a super, super tight family, like a big Greek family. They'd have dinner together every night. I had a great family as well, but I grew up wrestling, so that like brought me kind of like all over the place. It wasn't nearly as like tight and cohesive. So she came to the relationship with that, like that is like, hey, this is something that we will like absolutely maintain, this like this
is
tight,
a family dinner,
this tightness, cohesion, family dinner. And I think there's a lot of things that stem from that are really good. And then I think like for me, like not being the person to self-select like we say self-select in the sense of like counting yourself out before you try something. I was always kind of a risk taker, and I maybe was a little more overconfident in myself than what I should have been. But without that, I honestly probably wouldn't have like gotten some of the experiences that I did, right? Like I never really took myself out of the fight. So we came to our relationship kind of with those two ones. And then I think over to like just living life together, right? Just growing together, like we just understood the importance of gratitude. And that's something that it's hard to not get caught up in your own world. Like you get something at work, like you have stressors, but like when you sit down and you like think about the things that you're grateful for, just like just the smallest things, right? You could even, if you walk it all the way back, just the fact of being alive, being like just existing in this world. It's like your best friend gives you a surprise present. Once you like kind of realize that, it just energizes you, right?
How do you live with gratitude? How do you live that out practically? You know, like obviously gratitude just rolled off your tongue, like it's something that you guys probably speak of and live out. But in your day-to-day life, if I was to come kind of watch you for a week, how would I see that be lived out?
I'd say the clearest version is next to our dinner table, we have a thank you board, and so we have all of our names, and we actually like if you're a guest at our house, like we'll write your name under it, and you have to tell us what you're thankful for every day, and anytime right before we have dinner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's one of our family traditions. So before we sit down,
so you not only say it, you write it down.
We write down, yeah,
and then it just kind of lives there until next time you have dinner together.
Exactly.
Man, that's cool. Where did that come from?
I don't know. I think it was like it was either my wife. My wife probably bought the board, and then I found it, or I'm not sure. It was one of the two of us, which is great because we both were on board.
Yeah, love it. That's cool. If we were to look at that board right now, what would it say?
My daughter today was thankful for summer. My wife was thankful for summer being around the corner. We had a pretty cold winter. It was like 20 degrees for.
He's like, bring me the sun.
You get that one you get that one like 50 degrees sunny day. She's like, summer's arrived.
Let's go. Shorts and t-shirts.
My wife was thankful for us all being home, and then today for me it was just like I was just so like just living like just this beautiful life that we have. It's super broad, but like today, like just thinking about how lucky I am, all the blessings I've had in this world, like just life in itself.
So I want to point something out to dudes listening, and it's a pat on the back for Kyle. I think one of the greatest gifts we can give to our family is knowing them. Like, I want to be known, right? Like, I want to be known. I want to belong to something. And if I want that, then probably all humans do. But when asked the question, what's on that board today, you paused, you looked up, right? So you really were thinking about it, right? And so you thought, what does my 5-year-old care about? What does my wife care about today? And I think it's really important as men, as fathers, to know our family, even when it's like, who cares what my 5-year-old wants today, right? Easy to say, right? And we could nod along and go like, yeah, I've got such bigger things to consider and worry about. But what about their world? Like in their world, your problems aren't their problems. So kudos to you. And I love that. Okay. So gratitude, being able to step out in faith and take risks, that's a value. And then kind of this cohesive family regular dinner. Is there anything other than the gratitude board that you guys kind of have at dinner time that maybe others haven't considered or thought of that might be unique? If I sat down and had dinner with you guys tonight, would I maybe see something that I may not see in everybody's home, like happen?
My wife's she's really good at asking open-ended questions about my daughter's day. And she'll say like, can you talk about one thing that made you smile today? And it's not like, was school good? And she could just bail out and say yes or no, and then moves on to the next question. And it kind of forces her to talk about it. And some days it's a little more difficult to pull the answer out, but it's gotten to a point where she'll answer and then she'll say, well, tell me about your day, or what was something that made you smile today? The fact that like she's asking because she's genuinely interested, and she'll sit there and listen, and like no distractions, just like having a conversation. And that's something that I take immense pride in, right? Like there's no distractors. Like we're at the table. There's no phones. Phones are in the other room. We're just sharing this moment together, and like having a 5-year-old being able to like just reciprocate the conversation is so cool.
I'm like a little teary at the moment because I'm thinking about my 19-year-old daughter. So she's at college now. This is so funny. But thinking about the stage you're in and the conversations you're having, and it reminded me maybe 2 months ago, I was talking with Brooklyn and I was walking in a parking lot and I missed her on a mission, right? Like a call for a reason. I do things for a reason. Although I did text her right before this call. I love you just for the sake of it. But I told her something and then I started to move on. She's like, no, wait, hang on. Tell me more about that. And so like same thing, you're cultivating that with your 5-year-old and you're going to find yourself with a 19-year-old, in freaking 14 years, right? Like, can you even imagine that? It's going to happen 14 years. And now you have a relationship with this person. You said, like person, like you said before, but that is now like a human that you have shaped. So super cool. I love that. I remember somebody telling me once, so anybody who has younger kids, like a lot of times as parents with little kids, you're like doing everything you can to get them to shut up. And then there's this shift at like maybe 12, 13, where then now you're doing everything you can just to get them to talk to you. So it's like, just never shut them up. Like let them ask 1,000 questions, engage in conversation, and then it will continue on through the high school years,
Yeah. That's such good feedback. Because I mean, I'm super guilty of it too. Like my wife and I were trying to have a conversation this morning.
It happens.
And she knows, like she's smart enough to where she'll ask questions and she'll interject herself. And she knows, like, she doesn't care about the answer. She just cares about like the disruptive nature of it. So it's like a fun like little cat and mouse game sometimes.
Yeah. So the original question is, what's the role of the father? And we leaned into this idea of core values and embodying them and being the standard bearer of it. I love that, right? Leading by example. Any other thoughts around that before we kind of move to the next thing, whether it's a core value we missed or you want to talk about, or another component of the role of father?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the last core value that I think is super important, and we try to embody it, and then also make it a part of our daily life is respect, like at a very broad level, right? We as people have a very, I don't know if it's like a built-in genetic tendency to like make snap judgments, automatically assume like what a person means when they say a thing, or assume something about somebody's life. Like the amount of times where I've like fallen into that trap, and then you learn that this person is just like having the worst day of their life, or they're going through something that I could never even imagine the pain. Treating every person like that's the going in position, right? Like respect them. You don't know what battles they're going through, and like expect them to like, you expect them to reciprocate. Like don't let people disrespect you, but you also need to be the one to kind of like show that universally.
Yeah, man, it's so broad. It's like this, not broad. I mean, it's specific in that you want to treat people the way you want to be treated. You want to love others. You want to, be loved yourself. Like understanding like that people have stories is so important. And interesting to teach kids, right? Because it's like, as our kids become more and more exposed to the world, there will be the rough edges that they like. We are we protect them, right, in a lot of ways from like more the emotional dog shit that's in the world. But eventually, little Timmy pushes them on the ground at school or whatever happens, and then working through like Timmy doesn't have a good home life or whatever the story may be, right?
Yeah.
So man, that is a tough one and an important one to walk with our kids on and through.
100%. And it's an interesting balance, right? Because like you want to respect yourself enough to like know how you should be treated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
But also you want to be the person to like respect everybody, and then kind of like understand that you don't know enough about their life to make judgments.
Yes, I don't know enough about their life to make judgments. That's a good mantra to live by. One other thing you mentioned in this that I wanted to bring up, just because I don't hear this word very often, and so I would just love to have you expand upon it. But in asking you what the role of the father is, you said a source of immense love. So I don't hear immense love. So for you, I can tell words matter. And so what does a source of immense love mean to you, and how do you live that out practically?
The immense love is like, in my mind, it's really just like how you live your life holistically. Like the way that there's nothing that my daughters can do that is going to cause me to like fill the gap in our relationship, right? Like, and like understanding that, like you want to like you want her to think that, like I want both of my daughters to think that like their mom and I are their biggest cheerleaders. We believe in everything that they can do. We're realistic with them, but like we're like a part of the organism, you know, like we're in this together. And like it's tough because like as you were reading that, like I kind of got a little teary eyed because like I've never felt the amount of like love, right? Until you actually bring a child into this world and you start seeing them raised and getting raised and developed. So, and because of that, like there's love that you give to them. And then there's the example that you set as their parent, and like it forces you to be a better person, right? Like I have to be self-reflective on, am I portraying the best role model for my daughter? Because statistics like may lean to the fact that girls marry people who like maybe have similar qualities as their father. And like if you set the example of like, hey, this is what a loving man who can provide for his family, protect his family is, then like she'll understand those are the qualities that like maybe she's looking to look for in like, her future husband.
Yeah, I think it's important, and think about this. So I'm going to ask you, what does love mean, or what's something around love, because it's really broad. But I'm going to say this for the dudes listening: is I think it's important. We love to use the word love. Like, I love you. I love my wife, and I love tacos, and I love this beer. Right? Like I'm using the same word for some very drastically different things. So what does love mean? And I would challenge dudes, whether you are a Christian or not, that 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't envy, love doesn't boast, love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Like the definition in scripture or the Bible of what love is, I think it's very different than I love you as long as you're doing everything that meets my needs or I love you as long as you're making me feel happy. And so I think if as dads, especially if we could model that with our wives, that's hard work, but model that with our kids, like Kyle's been saying. You started this off, Kyle, by saying there's basically nothing my daughter could do that could separate my love from her, right? There's nothing she could do. And I think one of the hard things is the way that we model that for us who are married is in the way that we love our wife, which I could fall short on that all the time of like, she didn't speak to me the way I wanted to, or didn't, whatever, right? So my kids can see that there are times where dad is like irritated or whatever because of with that. So as I kind of gave my word vomit just now, what's a word or an action that stands out to you when you think of the word love?
This is actually a really challenging question. I wish I had ChatGPT up right now.
Bro, okay, well, I'll give you a minute to think. So yesterday I was at the store with my son. We were at Home Depot, and I found a pen and I found a piece of scratch paper. We're trying to figure out how many rubber mats we needed for a 12 by 14 inch or a 12 by 14 space for the gym we're building in the garage. I'm over here with my calculator, a pen, and a piece of like receipt paper I found. Homie's over there 15. He puts it on the ChatGPT, doesn't even type it, says it in. He turns to me. I'm like nowhere near having the answer. He's like, Dad, we need 6. We need
That's
6
amazing.
of these rubber mats. I'm like, he's like, we were just laughing, dude, like 2 totally different generations here.
It's crazy. But no, as you asked the question, thinking about love, I think about it as something that's greater than myself, in the sense of not value wise, but like something that when I think about my love for people, like that's really where the majority of the love lies, right? Like love for yourself, love for people. But like when I think of my family, like my life is to serve them. Not like it's not about me. It's
so
about,
there you go. It's serve. I mean, there's the word right there. It's 100%. Serve, which takes it away from now. Okay. So 100% service, but you also made another comment that I need to love myself. How important is it that you are okay in your own skin, happy with who Kyle is, so that you can serve?
It's incredibly important. Like, I think that one of the big obstacles that I had to get over was comparing myself to others. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find your value by comparing yourself to another person that is in your life or that you see kind of out in public. Your value is completely in the eyes of the beholder. It's a very subjective thing. And I think that's very much hinged to gratitude, right? Like if you,
yes.
Like
Really good.
if you walk it back to just like the odds of even being a person, right? Like I was curious the other day and I looked this up of what are the odds of just a sperm meeting an egg. It's 1 in 300 million.
Sheesh.
That is 30 million less, or 30 million more than winning the lottery. And then that's like not even counting the, like, what are the odds of the sperm and the egg meeting, like, from that person to make you, right? So just like the fact of being alive and like living in this world, there's so many, I mean, there's just like, I could go on for days with this, right?
That's really good. Kyle, you early 30s, you start talking with your wife. You've been married for a few years. You're like, okay, or maybe you started before, but we're going to have a kid. We start going through this process. It becomes a bit challenging. And then you find out I'm going to be a dad. At what point did you embrace fatherhood? Right. So it's the fun idea of we're going to do this. And then it's like oh my God, we are doing this. So it could have been the moment you found out, the moment, your daughter was born. It could have been her first steps. When did you go, whoa, this matters?
I mean, it was a tumultuous process just getting pregnant. So like the moment that she said that she told me she was pregnant, was like, had a profound impact on me. I mean, it was unbelievable. But it happened right before I went on my last deployment. And so during that deployment, I mean, you just have like a lot of time to reflect, right? And so like I'd go back to my room at night, it's just me, and like that's what you think about. And then you like there's a couple other guys whose wives are pregnant as well. And like we all just like sit around and just talk about like how excited we are to be dads, and kind of like we talk about values and kind of like bounce ideas off of each other. And then halfway through that deployment, like briefed an embassy at one day, and then I went to another meeting in Hawaii. I was in the Philippines at that time, and then we were living in California at the time. So my wife just took a trip out, and that was the first time I saw her when she was pregnant. And so,
whoa,
like
what a trip!
Yeah, like her, like in the airport with a belly, feeling the baby kick, and it was unbelievable. I mean,
oh, that's special.
Like, yeah.
I absolutely adored my wife being pregnant. I just loved it. She's so beautiful and cute. It was fun. I miss that. Kyle, tell me about your dad. What's something that you would have changed about your relationship with your dad, and what's something that you are grateful with your relationship with your dad? Now, I say the change part loosely, right? Just to have kind of an expressive word. I know most of us wouldn't actually change anything, but as we reflect back, we might do it differently. So what comes to mind for you?
No, I mean, I think there's probably plenty to change. It was a good dad in the sense like he clearly loved his children. There was always, he struggled with some behavioral mental health stuff. So like there was never really a question of does he love us? It's more of like, who is he? Kind of like lives in the house. Never like really had the opportunity to connect on like a super deep father-son level. And then I think it's a junior year in high school, he got into a really bad car accident. And it was one of the ones I was at I think it was at wrestling practice or something. My mom called me up. She said, "Hey, your dad got in an accident. We got to go up to Boston to see him." And then like in the car right up, it's like, "Hey, like he probably won't make it. So when you guys get up here, like just be prepared for that." So I got up like in bad shape. He was in a coma, and then thankfully recovered. But there was always something that was a little different after that. So like there wasn't like that much emotional connection before then, and then things kind of got like a little worse. And then kind of my mom split, went through his own challenges, and then I actually haven't seen him in probably 15 years.
Wow.
But like the cool, I mean, it's not cool, right? Because like obviously you want to be able to like see your dad and like have a relationship. Like he'll still send my daughter birthday gifts and stuff. Like that he I know that he loves me and my family. The way that he expresses it is different. It seems like it's kind of like the relationship's bypassed me and it's kind of gone down more to my kids. So something I'm super thankful for is like the fundamental love that's there. The thing I would change is probably like the actual relationship, is like being able to know him as a person. Like we stopped talking kind of right as I started becoming a man. And so there's a lot of self-discovery. I think when we talk about values and like what is the role of a man, what's the role of a father, like thank God for the military, because I was able to like get those role models and see those people. But like being able to have that like as like from like a father-son perspective, I just didn't have.
Yeah. No, I mean, one, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And two, something that I've never really thought of, which you really communicated well, is there's a difference between love and relationship, and or love and a relationship are two different things. I would really challenge dads listening right now to that, because I think that some of us can give ourselves a free pass to the relationship because we love our kids, right? Like, just because you love your kid, that's not enough. I to just go like, I love my kid, I work for my family, I unclog the toilet. Essentially, I put food on the table, right? What about we kind of talked about it before, but the knowing, the belonging, right? I think that's really key. Is I think us dads need to ask ourselves, how's our relationship with our kids? And then if it's not where we want it to be, what is the roadblock? And I think that's where, like, a lot of the work you and Paul do is unlocking, like spending time on me, so that the roadblocks, the barriers, the things in my story that maybe everybody doesn't know, I can be okay in my own skin, so that I can have relationships with people around me.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point about do I love my kids? Do we have a house? Can I provide for them? Like, those are all very much like pass fail grades, and they're pretty easy to quantify. It's binary. But the ones that are a little more nebulous, like, how does my kid view me? Like, what is our relationship? Like,
What's our relationship?
do I spend time to be present with them when I am home? Those are all things that it's really tough to quantify, but I mean, they're just as important.
Yeah, I love it. So the distinction between love and relationship, and then just to be honest, for my end, my wife and I went to or I should say vulnerable, not honest. We went to a marriage calm retreat 3-4 weeks ago. And one of the things that she said to me is like, our house is always rushed. Like, I'm intentional, but our house is always rushed. And so something that I put on my personal dashboard to ask myself, right? We're talking about love, relationship, but now I'm asking myself as a father, am I creating a peaceful household? Like, is everyone feeling peace, right? And I think, like, I'm called to be a peacemaker. So love, I have tons of love in my house. I have great relationship with my family, and everyone's exhausted. Right? So it's like this continuous, where are the sharp edges, and how can I be aware of them and show up where my family needs me to show up?
So true.
Okay. The podcast is Fatherhood Field Notes, opening up your life, sharing your life with us. The mantra behind it is rebel and create. What's something that you are rebelling against? And then what do you hope to create from that?
I had a really good idea. If you wouldn't mind just reading me my answer.
We talked about it a little bit. It's come up for you as like that validation, more attention, more stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many like societal pressures on like things you should be chasing, or like what you should be doing or getting as an individual, or like you should be making this much money if you're living in this state. And not like getting rid of rebelling against that idea of just this comparison to an arbitrary metric that has no impact on your life, or more importantly, like your family. It's just something that I think too many people get sucked up into. And like, personally, I do as well. Like, it's hard not to. Like, you're always constantly sizing yourself up against your surroundings, the people. It takes effort, but it's a worthwhile fight.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Yeah, I think that it's such a good thing to be aware of, and like, obviously what you're creating out of that, when you're not comparing, you're living in a much better place of gratitude, which you've talked a lot about.
Yeah.
Something I do not want to miss is this definition of epic, and this kind of view of life. So would you kind of go into sharing that with us?
Yeah, so I guess the story behind it was, I was at a fundraiser a few years ago, and it was a golfing tournament, which I'm terrible at golf. So I spent a lot of time in the car just hanging out with the person I was driving with. And this guy had just retired from the military. He was an Army Ranger for 20, 30 years, really distinguished career, accomplished a bunch. And then we start talking about children, and he had older kids. My daughter, I think, was 2 at the time. And I was like, hey, got any advice for like a relatively new dad? And he said, you have to redefine epic. He's like, you just came out of the special operations community. He's like, you do X, Y, and Z things for activities. Like your threshold for what's an awesome experience is up here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about you. It's about your kid. Epic for your daughter. Like you may think like, hey, I want to go climb Mount Washington with her. Epic for her could be like getting out of the car, walking around the parking lot, and picking up a pine cone. And like you have to recalibrate what your zone of epicness is, because yeah, it's like not about us. It's not about me as the individual. And so that's something that I've tried to carry with me now that my daughter's old enough to think I can share some of the activities, whether it's like surfing or jujitsu or surfing or like swimming with her. It's like, it's about her. Like, I want her to have a good experience. I want her to kind of like get the things from these activities, the same things that I got, but you have to recalibrate of like what the expectation is.
Dude, that's so good. It's so good. Because then when your kid's little, you can actually enjoy going out and like, I mean, finding the pine cone or digging up worms or whatever it is would do with a little kid. And then you're cultivating a relationship, and maybe one day you guys will be on the top of a mountain snowboarding down, maybe you will, but you weren't waiting for 15 years for that to happen. Right. You were enjoying all these little moments. And I will say, so I had 5 kids really quickly, and I was hard on my son when he was first little, like he was sensitive. And I found myself like, I wanted him to do tough things at like 2, 3, 4 years old. And I remember I probably got advice from somebody way smarter than me. And I pulled back and I let him be where he's at. And funny enough is like just in the last month, we did snowboard at Breckenridge, top of the mountain, drop down. And I was even like, yo, do you want me to go first? And he's like, no. And he just drops down and goes. And then we both got Surons, and I could barely do a wheelie on this thing. And we got him like a month ago. And the dude is like doing probably 200-foot wheelies standing on the seat. And you know what I mean? So
that's gnarly.
Yeah, it is. My wife does not like it. But yeah, what am I going to do? But I think that regardless of if those things were happening, if I was whatever, if we were building a robot together today because of the relationship, I would be just as stoked as if I was riding a Suron next to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's so important that as dads, we do that, because we'll just be waiting for one day that they can do something, and we just miss building the relationship. So kudos to that gentleman who shared that with you and that you're doing that now. What's something that you and your 5-year-old love to do together?
We love wrestling. She loved wrestling together.
She loves wrestling?
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like a pretty like hands-on person. I grew up wrestling. I still like, she does jujitsu, but it's a post bath time activity. So it's like right before, like, get home, we'll have dinner, go up, do bath time. After bath, like get in our PJs, and like that period between PJs, brushing our hair is just wrestle time, which is like, I even have to like, defining epic, right, is I find myself being like, oh, actually you should do a double leg takedown like this. And I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, she's having so much fun just jumping on your stomach right now. Just embrace it. So that's something that like one of the things that we enjoy doing. I did introduce her to surfing a few months ago. There's a surf park up here that the Scuden family runs, and just putting her on the front of the board and just go on these super small waves. She's having a blast, and it's like a very controlled environment. She's not getting thrown all over the place.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will just kind of say that you as dads don't have to wait till your kid's 15 to go surfing, for example. I do think that there's something really valuable in wrestling with your 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, taking them in the ocean, exposing them to things. I think that the connection you need to make, which you've talked about, is not making it about you. Because as soon as you take your kid in the ocean and they start crying because there's salt in their eyes and you're all pissed off, you've made it worse, right? Now they definitely don't want to get back in the ocean. But if you're like, hey, no problem, it's all good, let's go dry off, try again later. Because I know there were times when I was a young dad, I'd get flustered. Right, I'd get flustered because it didn't go as expected, and that will get you into trouble.
100%. Yeah, it's like one bad experience, and the kid just Nope, we're done.
And a lot of it is how you respond, right? Is like, how do you respond in the moment to the situation? Dude, Kyle, I love talking to you about fatherhood. I love the way you light up when you talk about your kiddos. Last question here is a legacy question. When you think about, you mentioned it before, when I'm 100 years old, which I love, I want to live to 100. When I'm 100 years old, I hope to see X, Y, and Z. Fast forward, let's say 35 years, your daughter will be about your age now. She'll be about 40. Wild to think about, right? If you were to be peering into her home, seeing her as a 40-year-old woman, what would you hope to see in that home that would just put like a big smile on your face, a tear in your eye to go, I showed up?
I mean, I think just like it's the small things, right? It's the way that her and her spouse look at each other after they see their child. Like just that it's just quiet. You don't say it. You don't say a word. You just look at each other, smile, and you both are kind of thinking the exact same thing. It's just like, wow, this is freaking awesome. It's the being present, right? Like when you're inside your home, sitting around the table, like you're there with each other. You're not distracted by a work call or your cell phone or something that's not in the room, sitting there with you. And I think just like the small things, right? It's like bedtime routines.
Mm-hmm.
The I love you and the kiss before you go to bed. Like those are the things that they're muscle memory now, right? And it's nothing that's forced. It's just something that we do every time we either walk out of the house or go to bed or even just say it out of the blue, right? It's just like, I think I kind of got a little bit of a tear in my eye thinking about it, right? And I really don't want the next 35 years to go by that fast. But those are really the things I would measure. It wouldn't be how big the house is. It wouldn't be where they're living, their zip code, or like what kind of cars are parked in their driveway. It's really just like them appreciating the things that are most important in their life. And that's like your health, your family, your spirituality, I think is super important. Those are like the true metrics for success, in my opinion.
As dudes, as you guys are listening to like the end of Kyle and I's conversation, I want you to consider today how you look at your spouse, how you look at your kids. So you said that, Kyle, you're like, I asked the question, the first thing you said is how the spouses are looking at each other, which truly is like a real measure of authentic living, right? Because I could tell you all day how awesome you are and how much I love you and blah, blah, blah. But you can tell like what's going on in the mind, what's going on in the heart. When I look at my spouse, what is it that I truly feel? What is it that I choose to see, right? Because I can tell myself a story about my spouse or my kid. So what is it that I'm choosing to see in them? And something you said, actually, let me go back because I highlighted this, is you said in the legacy, you want them to see the same endless potential I see in them, right? And so bringing that up is the way that you see those around you. Do you see potential? Do you see life and abundance? So, dude, any thoughts on that before I kind of wrap this up?
No, I mean, I want to be there's a really good quote, and it's the goal of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Like being able to be an enabler for my family members to find what their gift is, but then also like instilling the values of service and like, giving back to the people that you care about to be in a position to where they can like give their gift away.
Yeah. I don't know if I've heard that or not, but I love the context and the meaning, because I think what I say to my kids a lot is with great, like with great blessing comes great responsibility, right? Like we're very blessed. And so I tell my kids, like, because we're not blessed because we're special, because that's when you start comparing yourself to other people. We're blessed because everybody's special, right? We're blessed and there's responsibility that comes with that. But I think it's much more clear for the individual in the kind of the quote you just shared. Like, I want to help my children find their gifts. And I really think that's a huge responsibility of the father, is to help the kid find the gift. And then when you find that gift, moving away, I think a lot of our society is like, how do I maximize this gift and be better than as many people as I can be better than, or make more money than as many people as I can, versus like, hold up, what can I do to bless the world with this gift?
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think gift and talent are like maybe two separate things, right?
Oh,
I think
tell me the difference.
I think of talent as like, I don't know, someone who's like really athletic and able to, or someone who's super articulate and they're able to just kind of captivate crowds. Like your gift is like that thing inside of you that like you can turn around and make the world a better place with.
Yes. Yes. Okay, dude, super cool. So dad, start thinking about this, journal this down about your kids. Like, so for one of my kids, it came to my mind, like Violet, she's 16, very wise, a great listener. Now I put such a emphasis, she's a track star. Like she'll run at a D1 school. It's awesome. But that's her talent, not her gift. And I think how important for me as a dad to help her see that, because the reality is most of the time the talent is either going to shift or not quite always be there. And if my identity is wrapped up in my talent, oh, I got some shit I'm going to have to work through one day when it's not quite there the way it is today. Kyle, I think in 5 years, we should do this again, and then another 5 years, and then another 5 years, and hit these milestones together. Dude, I'll tell you, it's the joy in your face, the joy in your eyes. Like, I know you've done a lot of work, I can tell, to just be a source of light and love and service and gratitude from inside your own skin. So kudos to you for being 37 and doing that, and being willing to share that with us and share that with your wife and your kids and with the world around you. So dude, just much blessing to you. Keep loving your family the way you are and letting the world see it. And I hope and look forward to our paths crossing again in the future. But dude, much love to you. And it was an honor and a privilege to get to know you.
Likewise. No, this was fantastic. It was just super good talking to you, Ned. And if I could just get 30 seconds, just because we talked about Paul beforehand. We never really talked about what brought us together. And so the Alpha Wave Project is something that we started about 6 months ago. There's a handful of us. And it's the energy that I get from working towards that. It's a nonprofit really focused towards building community in the veteran and first responder populations. And it's really geared towards improving social connection, reducing isolation. Obviously, the most extreme metric that we're trying to combat is the suicide statistics. But at a very micro level, it's about building relationships, introducing people to activities that make them present, and ultimately like turn around and make them a person that can basically appreciate the things that they have in their life and live a better, healthier life. So,
dude, love it. If people want to learn more about Alpha Wave Project, where would they go?
Yeah, alphawaveproject.org is our website. We are on Instagram as well. So it's at Alpha Wave Project. You'll see some of our past events that we have there, some of our upcoming ones, and just really the community that we're trying to build.
Yeah, love it. I highly encourage you guys go follow the page, learn more about it. I think we live in a country that there are things you like, you don't like, but the reality is we are so blessed to have been born where we're born, and there's a lot of men who've been before us and women, but this is fatherhood. Women have enough of their own stuff. So there's a lot of dudes, a lot of dads who were out sitting in a room talking about their wife being pregnant and not seeing her until they're 6-7 months pregnant, who gave up a lot for us. So to go support these guys who come back with a lot of heaviness that they need to work through, it's like, dude, pay it forward, find ways to give gratitude to our veterans. And so Kyle, thank you for working on that project with Paul and with others, and for the work you guys are doing to help men, and women accolade back into now what does it mean to be an epic husband or mom in my home. So love it, dude. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
I had such a good time talking fatherhood and life with Kyle. Truly, just a man with a lot of joy, with a lot of peace exuding from him in our conversation. It just felt like he's just done work to be able to show up well as a husband, as a father, as a man. And really what I'm sitting with from the conversation is the piece about having a distinction between love and relationships. So like, am I just loving my kids and my wife, which is great and important, but am I leaning into relationship with them? Are those relationships growing and flourishing? And I think all of us men have such an opportunity to lean into relationship with those that have been placed in our care. My friend, if you're liking these podcasts, if you enjoy this conversation, please write a review. Please share it with a friend. It would mean so much to me. Thank you for all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, your spouse, and your community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.